Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. The last couple of days have been interesting in a challenging kind of way. The energies that is coming up has been, first, it was a lot of anger. So I needed to sit in the anger. I looked around and I asked a bunch of people, what's your best way to transmute anger? And I came up with a lot of different answers, but ultimately sitting with it seemed to be what was in order, instead of trying to do anything to push it out. I just wanted to sit with it. So I sat with one hand on my chest and one hand on my womb space, my sacral, and just breathed like for hours. I was just lying there breathing, very, very angry. It wasn't like a kind of anger where I had a lot of energy and like wanted to run or something. I've been like that in the past. So it was more a compassionate inquiry into the anger and what lay underneath the anger. And as I dig down into the muck to unfuck, what was underneath the anger was a lot of hatred, like a lot of hatred. And it's not my favorite emotion by no means. I would obviously much rather be all love and light, but this spiritual awakening path isn't all love and light. We need to face all of ourselves, including the dark energies that reside within. And from my life experiences, there's a lot of things that I have hated, and a lot of things that have happened to me that I have hated. So there is hate in me. And I sat with the hatred and found myself getting more and more agitated, particularly by masculine energy. I joined, and it's good to always look and see where we're being triggered, because trigger is like ding dong, a doorbell into some more healing. And so what has been coming up for me is my relationship with masculine energy, one that I need to heal, just like I needed to heal all the feminine energy wounds that I carried with me, the maternal wounds. And these are looking more at the paternal wounds, as well as other influences throughout my life that have been, masculine relationships, how masculine has shown up for me, or more to the point, how masculine has failed to show up for me. And underneath the hatred, this seething hatred, I sat with for a long period of time, and was noticing in some spiritual meetings that I was attending how much I just wanted to yell at people and tell them to shut up. I didn't, but I was an observer, noticing how I was getting more and more frustrated with the kind of egoic attitude that I am observing in the masculine community right now. There's a lot of masculines that are whining and complaining about the state of affairs without taking any accountability for their role in it, and projecting outwards onto the feminine. And I just want to scream, shut the fuck up. Like, seriously, shut the fuck up. Because as a feminine, who is part of the collective of rising feminines, I think we've had enough. I think we're done. I'm definitely done, is where I'm at. And underneath the hatred was anguish, disgust, because why I'm done is because of the disgusting behavior that I have witnessed and been a victim to over my entire life. in more situations than not. And perhaps I should have put a trigger warning at the beginning of this video, but I really had no idea what direction it was going in, like I rarely do. I'm just kind of talking and letting it flow out of me. I'm trying to direct some of this energy into my book, which I've started writing, which is good, because it's getting into addressing some of the damage that has been done through the years. Because of this patriarchal system that we live in has allowed and encouraged men to behave atrociously for hundreds of years, and it's been the norm. It's been acceptable. And even I was raised to believe that certain behaviors were just, boys being boys. And I was always very quick to forgive things I shouldn't have forgiven. So I want to talk about that a little bit in today's video. So trigger warning, stop watching if you don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I fully respect that. But I'm going down this rabbit hole because it's time that these things were faced and expunged. So I'm going to reveal a few things that may be upsetting for some viewers. You all know that I was adopted, and I was adopted at the age of 2.5. One of the reasons why I was adopted was because my father had got himself into trouble with the police and was had to go to prison. So I don't know exactly at what point in those first 2.5 years, at what point he committed the crime, at what point he went to prison. But that was one of the main mitigating factors of why my mother was left to her own defenses and unable to cope back in 1974 with not a lot of community services. So the masculine energy for me started from day one. I don't know if, my parents were in love. Certainly a young couple. He was a boarder in my parents' home. And I'm sure he wanted another notch on his bedpost, because that's kind of common and everybody accepts that as like men being men. So he crossed boundaries that he shouldn't have crossed and started a relationship with my mother in the house that he was renting a room in, and got her pregnant. So this didn't move him to take accountability for his actions. Instead, some point in here, he got himself high on PCP, and he went and sexually assaulted a woman in a parking garage and was sent to prison, which is exactly where he belonged for such a crime. And I think it's very brave of this woman to do what I was never brave enough to do in my life. So one of the things, Spirit shows me weird things in weird ways at weird times, and brought me to one of the scriptures in relation to the sins of the father. It's not worded like that, but it's Exodus something. And basically in it says that the crimes of the father shall get passed down multiple generations. And I take this as a little bit of a warning and an explanation to perhaps why my life went the way my life went. So my father committed a sin and committed a crime, and, in society, we assume just because you go to prison that you're all done and dusted, not understanding that one aspect of Exodus that says, no, that's not how it works. You know, you have to atone because the sins of the father get passed on to the children. So I feel like a lot of my life has been a karmic cleanup of his actions. And I'm angry about it, and I think it's disgusting, and it's caused me a lot of pain and suffering. Throughout my life, I have experienced many, too many boys behaving badly. From the time I was a child, boys behaving badly and crossing boundaries and touching me inappropriately. And the time I was 14 or 15 in and around, and I went to go to a pool party at a friend's house, and being socially awkward, I guess they didn't really actually want me at that party. And when I knocked on the door, I could hear them all laughing and saying, no, don't let her in. So I was outside of my neighborhood on my bike, dressed in a bathing suit and some shorts and a t-shirt. And so upset, I went to the local park where two boys jumped me. And when I say boys, you know, they were strong. They would have been like 15, 16-ish when I was, 14 or 15, grade 9. And they proceeded in ripping all my clothes off, and except for my bathing suit, which they then started shoving grass down it. So it was an aggressive assault. So it was. They threw my clothes up in a tree. And, I was screaming throughout. Like, I was like, get off me, like crying and screaming. And eventually one of the boys kind of said, I think we've gone too far. And so he grabbed his friend and they left. So I was alone in the park and managed to climb this tree and get my clothes down after being assaulted. And, I was scratched up because I had been on the ground, and I was crying. I was very upset. But what made the situation even worse, because as Gabor Mate likes to talk about, is trauma is not just what happens to us, but it's what happens as a result of what happens to us. And he goes on to explain many times over that if you have a safe person that you can talk to about these things, then it helps you transmute through them. But I never had a safe person. So growing up, I couldn't tell my mother when that person, that I'm not going to name, molested me as a child. And I couldn't tell my mother when these boys jumped me and assaulted me. I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't tell anyone at all. So I learned very young to shut the fuck up and to just laugh it off, and boys will be boys. At the age of 16, I was coming home from the CNE with a friend of mine, and neighbors that were probably about 4 or 5 years older than me, in their young 20s, invited us in. And I was innocent and stupid, and they're paying attention to us. This is so much fun. And they proceeded to ply us with alcohol. I wasn't a very good drinker when I was 16, and it went too far, and one of them raped me that night. Again, I had nobody to tell and nobody to talk to, and this would have been in and around the time that, I thought the best option was to take my life. But I didn't, and I just kept going, as I do, of trying to navigate my way forward. For a period of time after this incident, my emotional state got erratic and I was struggling really bad. And instead of an inquiry into what was emotionally wrong with me, the abuse at home got worse and worse and worse because I was struggling to keep myself in that stoic, people pleasing. The hormones of a teenager were also erupting, and I ran away from home. At the time I was 16, and stayed living out of the house for, I don't know, about 6 months. Of course, I at this point was going down a really dark rabbit hole of getting involved with not such good people that were boys behaving badly, and that was kind of what I was used to. I was just kind of used to it, and so I observed and experienced a lot of things I shouldn't have experienced as a young girl. Determined to turn my life around, I begged to come home and focus on my education for a period of time. And I really was applying myself to school. This would have been my fifth high school at this stage, because I was, I'd have these incidences and I'd drop out of school because I was scared to go to that first school where those boys jumped me. So I went to a different school, and my high school was all over the place. And so, no, I guess that would have been my fourth high school. But I begged to go home, but the abuse didn't stop. It was getting actually worse. And lucky for me, a high school counselor intervened on my behalf and got in touch with a boyfriend that I had that lived in 8 hours away in Sault Ste. Marie. He was in college already, and I was in high school, and asked if I could come and move in with him because the situation was so bad at home, And I can remember in one of our huge arguments, and it was getting physical at this point. My dad yelled at me and he's like, "I don't know what's wrong with you. It's not like you've ever been raped." And I was like, yes, I have. How would you know? And that kind of pretty much shut them up. And there was no more inquiry into that at all. Nobody ever asked me any questions about that. So I moved at 17, 18-ish, trying to finish my high school career up north. And things were getting a little bit more steady and stable. I ended up marrying that boyfriend at the age of 20, which, far too young to get married, but I so desperately wanted family. And I can remember one night that I was up there, so this would have been in and around 20, when I was 20 years of age. I went to a rock concert, Offspring came, and I was mad into punk music. And I went to the concert, and I don't know why he wasn't there, but he's like, I can't go or something. Maybe he had to work or something, I don't know. But I was there by myself, and I was drinking and having a good time, and I met some guys, and they're like, "Hey, come back to our place. We're having a party. It's going to be great fun." And I was like, "Sure, fine. Yeah, that's cool." And that was stupid of me, but I was stupid. I was naive and stupid. And I went back to their place, and I don't know if you've ever been in like a dozy kind of like drunken stupor where you're kind of half awake and you can hear what's going on. And spirit was like loud in my ear back then. Of course, I wasn't really spiritual at that point, so I didn't really know. And spirit was like, "You need to leave now. Like, you need to go now." And so I like pulled myself up a little bit and I could hear these two guys talking. And yeah, if I was there another 20 minutes, it wouldn't have been good. So it wasn't. So I was very lucky and I got out and I escaped out of that situation to discover that I was 20 minutes outside of the town that I lived in driving. So it took me 3 hours to walk it at 4 o'clock in the morning home. When I got home, my husband said, where the fuck have you been? And I was like, I'm really sorry, but don't fucking talk to me because I'm so fucking pissed off right now. I'm gonna like lose my shit. And I was that close away from another bad situation of boys behaving badly. Unfortunately, my marriage didn't last. And I'm going to take ownership of that, at least 50% of that. One, I think we were far too young. Two, I think we shared the common wound that was adoption. So that was our bond, our trauma bond that pulled us together, as we both were children from adoption. So, it pulled us together. But, it wasn't a horrible marriage. It wasn't like the worst marriage. He wasn't a bad guy. He had a bit of a dope problem. And that was long before dope was legal. But other than that, it just wasn't working. And I lacked the spiritual or the emotional maturity to be able to sit down and say, hey, listen, I don't think this is working. Let's go our separate ways. And so I used sex as my way out. He had accused me for a very long period of time of having an affair with a guy from college that I went to college with, which I wasn't. But after being accused for so long, I was like, wow, screw you. If you're going to accuse me, I might as well get to do the crime. So I 100% put my hand up that at the age of 21, I cheated on my then husband. And after that, it was just a steady decline into, it was falling apart. I was, my inner saboteur was running amok, trying to destroy the marriage as fast as humanly possible. And so it disintegrated by the time I was in university. So my second year of university was a total shit show and a write-off because I was going through a divorce when most people are like meeting their first boyfriends, and I was drinking like a fish and spinning completely and utterly out of control, like completely out of control. And that set me off on a path of like, I'm going to just do what I want. Men can do whatever they want. I'm going to do whatever I want, like just screw them. I'll just do this and that, which meant that I myself unwittingly was just allowing boys to behave badly under the guise that I was empowered. This was me being empowered with my sexuality. It certainly was not empowered. It's one of my deepest regrets in life, is how I used sexuality as a means to attempt to land myself, to partnership. I had no idea what divine partnership was back then, but I was like, so my boy crazy era was still up and flowing. I was boy crazy from the time that I was little. I wanted the boys to pay attention to me, and I would stop at nothing to get that attention, even if it was embarrassing and definitely not respecting myself in no way, shape, or form. So it wasn't. By the time I was 27, I met my son's father out drinking, and that was a big party. and I fell pregnant like very soon into the relationship. Like he had moved in within 2 days, and it was like a summer romance, and it was like it was one of those summers where you're just like, ah, yay, every night, like partying. And I fell pregnant and moved to Ireland to be with him because that's where he was from. Even though we met in Canada, and me being sober destroyed the relationship, I suppose. At least I suppose that's the way he would look at it, because um, it was very quickly disintegrating relationship, because I don't know if you've ever been to Ireland, but Ireland at the time was a very drinking, party focused kind of place. And I had ideals, North American ideals about pregnancy, and which was, don't go out drinking. So I wanted to, and my pregnancy was fraught with difficulties. Like it was not an easy pregnancy by no means. I was in the hospital more than once. My stress levels, I was living in a foreign country. I was on my own. I had no support network. And and I was sober. And he was not. He was out every single night after work drinking, and would come home usually at around 10, eat some dinner, and go out drinking again. And so 3 weeks before I gave birth, he landed me with, I love you. I just don't love you enough. Because if I loved you enough, I'd want to leave the pub, and I don't. So I felt like a failure because I wasn't a party girl anymore, and I wasn't fun enough to keep him around. And, that's just boys behaving like boys. The party has to continue. What's this pregnancy stuff gets in my way, like that's not, I wasn't enough of a motivator, and his son was not enough of a motivator either. But unfortunately, I was stuck in Ireland for 10 years because my mother had no use for me at that time, and said to me when I begged to come home or help to get me home, that I had made my bed and now I needed to lie in it. So I made the best of it as I could and tried to make a life for myself in a foreign country, and find myself a new man. If I could just find myself a new man, that would be better, wouldn't it? So I dated a couple of men, which cheated on me, and I was like, no, that's not for me, thanks. But that's just boys behaving badly, right? And then one fateful night, I went out and had my drink roofied. And that experience was probably one of the worst experiences of my entire life. Those drugs make you insanely sick. So I don't actually have recollection of what went down after getting home. He was with me, the person that roofied my drink, and but I awoke to my nakedness and the obviousness of what had happened to my body. My body knew, even though my mind was checked out, because you lose consciousness, but your body knows. And I've never been sicker in my entire life. I've never been sicker. But again, I just shut up, because that's what you do, right? Like, who's going to believe me? Who's going to listen to me? I had learned all my life to shut the fuck up, because I never had anyone to talk to, or to listen, or to witness, or to care, or to nurture, or to help me write a report, or to bring me to a medical center. I never had anyone. So instead, I shut the fuck up and tried to go into work that night, and I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand up. And so in my state of like falling over, they just assumed that I was drunk or hungover. And they said if I didn't finish my shift, I would lose my job. And I said, then I guess I've lost my job. So I just was raped and then I lost my job. And I had nobody I could tell this to. So when I met my husband at a party in Canada, I came back and we began a long distance relationship. And I was like, this is my person, finally. Finally, I've met a man that like loves me. I didn't realize, of course, because my experience with men thus far had been so gross. I, I was used to gross energy and it felt normal and natural. So it makes kind of sense to me that I would marry a man no different than my birth father. Now I can see that. I can see how those energies would resonate. And whereas my birth father did his time, my husband did not and has not. Even though one of his victims brought him to court, but he perjured himself and he has since admitted to perjuring himself. This is before me. But all the way along, I have just forgiven. I forgive. That's what I do. I keep forgiving and forgiving and forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. And I think that my forgiveness has been weaponized. And so there's all this talk about, what we need to do for our healing, which includes forgiveness and letting go of your ego. And my experience from the feminine's point of view is different than that of the masculine. And that is, I think I need to forgive a little bit less because forgiveness has put me in harm's way. I even forgave my birth father and tried to like start a friendship with this man in my mid 30s, and he basically like completely ignored me. So I was like, right, I'm done. On my awakening, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. It's been like one after another of like identifying this toxic masculinity of boys behaving badly and getting notches in your bedpost and treating women like they are sex toys, like live sex toys. And it's just disgusting. I'm just disgusted. And I am observing myself hating men right now, going through my hating men era. And I've never hated men before. I idolized them because the women weren't safe from being raised by my mother, who was the most abusive of all people in my life to me. Female energy wasn't safe, and I didn't have anyone to go to, so I blended into the world of the masculines, as accommodating myself to their needs. And I hate it. I hate what has been done to me. I hate the violations that have been done. I hate the loss of my innocence. And it's not a loss of innocence, it's innocence stolen. Because society props up this sick attitude of sexuality that caters to the lower impulses of toxic masculines that think they can do and get away with anything they want, because society has let them do and get away with whatever they want. From the time you're on a schoolyard, punching a girl, oh, he's just boys being boys, he's just playing, to all the date rapey kind of vibe of, pushing the envelope just a little bit further, like what's consent? What is consent? To outright taking what doesn't belong to you by use of alcohol or drugs, and perpetuating violence onto women and seeing women only as sex toys, and not recognizing the value of females as having hearts, as having minds, as being human, as being human. And so there's this like attitude of, the fuck boy archetype, or the Don Juan archetype, or, well, there's a lot. And it's gross. It's gross. It's so gross, to the point where I want nothing to do with it at all. Like, I'm happy that I've been celibate for the last 7 years, 5 years, what is it? 4 years. This is my fifth year. And I have zero desire to date, because as a Me Tooer, every woman I know has a Me Too story. It's a lot of women. So when I say I hate men, I shouldn't say that. I should say, okay, I don't hate all men. I just hate the men that have plied a woman with alcohol and gone too far. I hate the men that are raping women. I hate the men that are cheating on their wives and have Tinder profiles and slip into another woman's DM or say things like, I like your vibe, and start a conversation when they have somebody at home that they should be loyal to. So I hate the not being loyal. I hate the lack of integrity. I hate the lack of honorability. I hate the minimization, the reprehensible violence against women. I hate the history of mankind. I hate the buying child brides and looking at children like that they're toys. That's just so disgusting. I can't even. I hate these networks that are being exposed. I hate the history of marriage and treating women like chattel and business arrangements and nothing more than a womb to propagate sons. I hate the fact that divorce is not more widely celebrated. It should be. Best thing that ever happened to me. I hate the patriarchy. I can't believe I'm saying that, because I've never in my lifetime ever called myself a feminist. I used to actually put down women that called themselves feminists because I was so busy trying to like get in with the boys club and be one of like the tomboys, the party girls, the like laid back, oh yeah, she's chill. And I'm not chill no more. I'm not chill. It's gotta stop. It's so gross. Men are gross. They are gross. And again, I'm not saying all men, but if you are a man and you've observed something go down at a party and not said something, then you're propping it up. If you've been in the locker room and you've heard something and you're not calling it out, then you're propping it up. If you've counted your body count and seen it as some sort of level of accomplishment, then you're propping it up. If you're not understanding that as long as you are segregating yourself from the feminine, not realizing that you have feminine energy within you that you were repressing, then you've been duped. I see it as the divine masculine population has been duped. For thousands of years, they've been duped, thinking that they are better, more empowered than the feminine, and repressed the feminine energy, and in so doing have robbed themselves of their own sacredness. So the whole system is completely and utterly disgusting. So it is. And I think that part of the reason why on this awakening so many of us are put into the penalty box, as I call it, the time of isolation, the time of purification, requires celibacy, and taking a break is so vitally necessary because it's got to stop. If the age of Aquarius and bringing us into a new way of being, a new consciousness, the type of consciousness where the world is safe for women, safe for children, then this toxic sexual deviation from sacredness has to go through a purification process so that humanity can live in divinity. There's many things in my life I wish that I could have changed if I had known what I know now, if I had known it earlier. Like if I had known that I was sacred, that I was divine, that I was a child of God, that I was lovable, that I was worthy, that I was valuable, that I was intelligent, that I was worth something. If I had been raised in an environment where it was safe to communicate and I was cared about enough to be protected and not ignored, if society as a whole didn't perpetuate these behaviors and these fuckeries, from forced marriages, arranged marriages, child bride marriages, non-divine partnerships, adultery, it's gotta like completely collapse. So it does. And that means that I think for a while the feminines need to talk a little bit more and share their stories and their truths, and the men need to talk a little bit less and listen to the impact of their behavior, of boys behaving like boys. What has that got you? Has it got you what you, at your core, at your soul level, What? Has it brought you peace? Or has it brought you PTSD and alcoholism and drug addiction and porn addiction and isolation, loneliness? What has it accomplished for you? One of my greatest gifts is that I've always seen the best in people and always seen the potentiality, the soul. And I've always gotten confused when the human behaves so atrociously and performs these acts of horror. I'm so proud of the Divine Feminine Collective for standing up, for speaking out. I wish that I had had the bravery to speak out at 16 or speak out at 14 or speak out at age 30, whatever I was. But I'm speaking out now. I'm speaking out now. And I'm saying that it's gross. It's so gross. And I'm not participating in your system anymore. And if that means that I spend the rest of my life as a monk, I'm fine with that. Although I didn't like having a shaved head, that's not human. When is mankind going to be kind? When is that going to happen? You know, people have been talking a lot about the Divine Masculine Collective beginning to wake up. I want nothing more. I want nothing more than to see that, because if we are going to really truly change society and live in a type of world that we all dream about, bringing heaven to earth, we're going to have to start like working together, like respecting each other. But right now where I'm sitting, it just feels like such a long way off. If you have experienced atrocities and violations, then you have my utmost empathy and compassion and understanding. I welcome you to share your stories, as difficult as that is. And if you need a safe person to listen to your stuff that you've never been able to say before to anyone, I can definitely hold space for that for you. I think that's something that we can do for each other right now, is hold space for people so that we can at least deal with truth. And the truth is ucky, you know, you have to dig down past the anger, past the hatred, past the disgust. And at the very bottom of it, what you have is truth. And that's where we build new from. Peace. peace in.